Hey y'all, and welcome back to The Truth. I'm your host, Kevin, back with another explosive deep dive into the chaos shaking up DC and pretty much all of the internet right now. Buckle up because the drama between President Trump, Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and that so-called big beautiful bill is straight up freaking wild. We're talking billions in government subsidies on the chopping block, a public feud that's torching a once tight bromance, and a mysterious black eye that's got everyone questioning and media outlets buzzing. House Speaker Mike Johnson dropped a cryptic bombshell saying he's gonna call Elon Musk and get this, things are not always what they seem. What's that about? Hey, hold on. Did President Trump really offer Elon Musk makeup to cover a black eye during an Oval Office showdown? Look, guys, you can't make this stuff up. In this video, I'm breaking it all down. Every tweet, every threat, every comment, every reply, every twist in this high-stakes saga. So hit that subscribe button, smash that like while you're at it, and let's unpack this madness together. Perhaps the best place to start is here. And we'll begin with the elephant in the room, the Epstein files. And it's got Candace Owens and Officer Tatum all worked up after Elon Musk posted this on X saying, time to drop the really big bomb. At Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public.
I guess everybody's just a bandwagon fan. And because Trump was on the bandwagon, everyone just got on the Elon Musk bandwagon, no questions asked. The petty behavior when he was like blocking accounts and taking away check marks because somebody disagreed with him over H-1B visas. I don't even know how you can productively run three businesses if that's your approach to life. If when you get angry, you try to make people suffer, whether it's your baby mama or it's someone who's just disagreeing with you over H-1B visas. That's babyish behavior. And I struggle to believe that he is heading up three companies if this is how he acts, because you can't unite people around that kind of behavior.
Elon Musk goes and says Trump was on the Epstein list. I think we got that tweet. When Elon Musk said Trump was on the Epstein list or in the Epstein files, that's the reason why we didn't release it. Right? He says time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason that they have not made it public. Have a nice day, Donald Trump. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. Now, the question is for Elon. Elon, when did you find out that Trump was on the Epstein file? At what point did you figure this out? So you telling me that you knew when you were in the Oval Office with your kid in there and y'all were going to UFC fights and y'all were doing all this stuff together, that you knew he was in the Epstein files and you thought it was wrong, but you never said anything to us? To me, that make you look like a fraud. I'm just keeping it 100. It make you look like a fraud.
All right, let's read some of these comments here. Elon Musk, or actually this post and then the comments, Elon Musk says time to drop the really big bomb. At Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And mark this post for the future. Elon says the truth will come out. Clown World says I was offline for just a few hours and came back to this mess. Elon and Trump going nuclear on each other is the last thing we need right now. It's like watching the whole movement eat itself in real time. Can we please dial it back before it's too late? Dr. Simon Goddick at Real Donald Trump, can you confirm that he's getting blackmailed by those who ran this operation? With others commenting and asking Grok, is this true? Grok says, evidence shows Donald Trump's name is in the Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs, part of the Epstein files, but there's no indication of wrongdoing. The files were released by Trump's administration on February 27, 2025, contradicting claims they were withheld to protect him. While speculation persists, no new incriminating details about Trump have emerged from credible sources. The topic is controversial, and public narratives often differ from verified facts. Juju asking what happened. Elon Musk recalling this or quoting this old post from Elon from February of this year. He said, I love at Real Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. Tom from MySpace says he made this with Grok. Looks like you got Elon Musk and President Trump in their singlets about to go at it in the ring. Vince Langman You let your son hang out with a guy you knew was a. Make sure your lawyers are on standby. That one was directed at Elon Musk and at real Donald Trump. And Lil Tay. So you knew this, yet you still endorsed Trump, reinstated his account, amplified his content, and gave him a platform to spread misinformation and campaign. You don't get credit for exposing something everyone already knew was true. You're just as complicit. If you knew this, Onion person says or asks, if you knew this, why did you willingly work with a... Yeah, Lex Fridman. That escalated quickly. We've got a few more here. This one says, I'm not surprised, shows Trump scooting in the chair for Benjamin Netanyahu. Drew Hernandez has his comment here that says, hey, at Elon Musk, I'm curious if what you're saying about Trump being in the Epstein files is true. How long have you known this? Why did you wait until now? Were you planning on just sitting on this forever? Genuine questions now that you have decided to release blackmail. Brick Suit, replying to Elon Musk and Donald Trump, President Trump, if President Trump were in the files in any significant way, the Democrats would have already released them. That's how you know there's nothing major in there. Not Josh Firestein says, so you knew all along and were just going to be totally cool with it, so long as you got what you wanted. Poll questions asking if you believe Trump is in the Epstein files. And I guess, it's a play on words here. Is he in the file? Zay says, I love how Democrats have hated Musk for the past couple of years, but watch how quick they'll suck off Elon and start saying Musk admitted it. He said it to be true and all that nonsense. Bo French says, I really hope you wake up tomorrow from whatever's going on today and regret saying things that are obviously false. I get it that you want lower spending. We all do. This is not the way to get it. Angie G's probably got one of the better ones here. She says you have to be low IQ if you think Elon's willing to burn all these bridges just because of a bill. Something big happened. And speaking of low IQ, reporters question AOC outside on the steps of this huge limestone government building. And this is what she had to say about it.
Any quick reaction on what's going on with Elon Musk and President Trump on Twitter right now?
Oh man, the girls are fighting, aren't they? I would say that this was something that was a long time coming, where we've been seeing that these two huge egos were not long for being together in this world as friends. And so I think this breakup we've been seeing a long time coming, but we'll see what the impacts are of it legislatively.
Thank you so much.
I think the only thing funnier than giving a damn about AOC's opinion would be taking her word, which all seem to be tossed up in like a salad of some sort. Now, I personally prefer iceberg lettuce covered in ranch, but I know some people like arugula. I just think it's too bitter. Anyway, anyone else feel the same way as I do? And you know what else is bitter? Elon's ex, Ashley St. Clair, chiming in on her old flame social media platform that apparently she kept in the breakup, tagging 47 and offering up her expert coaching and advice. Freaking priceless. And we have more ex posts and comments to react to in just a moment. But first, I want you to check out this exchange between Jesse Waters and RFK Jr. from 2023 when he appeared on Fox News for an interview and was asked point blank if he had been on Jeffrey Epstein's jet. This was his response.
You weren't ever on Jeffrey Epstein's jet, were you?
I was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet 2 times. I was on it in 1993, and I was on it and I went to Florida with my wife and 2 children to visit my mom over Easter. My wife had some kind of relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they offered us a ride to Palm Beach. So I went then, and then on another occasion, I flew again with my family, with I think 4 of my children, and Mary, my wife, to Rapid City, South Dakota, to go fossil hunting for a weekend, and But otherwise, I was never on his jet alone. I've been very open about this from the beginning. This was in '93, so it was 30 years ago. It was before anybody knew about Jeffrey Epstein's, his nefarious issues. And I agree with you that all of this information should be released. And we should get real answers on what happened to Jeffrey Epstein and any of the high-level political people that he was involved with. All of that should be open to the public. It should be absolutely transparent. And, I don't see why any of those records would have any redactions in them. Why would we be hiding that from the American public?
Well, you might.
Well, it's a simple question and a relatively easy answer, right? Now watch this clip of Elon Musk sitting down to an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News with President Trump, supposedly his best friend, right by his side. And as you watch and listen to this, I want you to pay very close attention to Elon's mannerisms, his body language, facial expressions. Does this look like a man who knows President Trump was on the Epstein file? And if so, even if Elon knew at the time, does this look like a man who has any concern for the reasons why DJT could possibly be on the file?
Yeah. He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
I don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's,
It's nice the way he said that, there's something nice about it.
It really is. Because, the president has been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
He's going to go into orbit soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink
At some point.
Huh?
Yeah.
is in over.
They always ask me, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Starlink is in 100 countries. He's become one of.
Granted, there's so much that could have happened behind closed doors that we don't know and may very well never know. But based on the information we have available to us, we can speculate that either A, the two had a falling out, or two, this is a strategic play orchestrated by two very smart and brilliant, powerful men. PBD over at Valuetainment seems to think it's the former.
If you use your imagination, God knows what happened with that black guy. Mm-hmm. That black guy, was it a fight that took place? Somebody swung and it really offended Elon. Is like, look what I'm going to do to you guys. Is that a Lutnick? Is that, I don't know who else did it. Who else will be in that room? I don't know who it is. Maybe, but think about it. That doesn't accidentally happen. And you want to do something like this too. Maybe it was a meeting while they're calling each other out and somebody just, because Elon started calling out Trump and it got nasty. And then somebody swung and then somebody was a peacemaker bringing it in. I'm not speculating. Remember, the key word is allegedly. We don't know any of this stuff. But the timing of all of this is a little weird. Timing of all this is a little weird.
And yes, would you agree that the timing of this is a little weird? Is it a little weird that when President Trump was asked about Elon's recent behavior on social media, he didn't have a response?
Thank you very much, media. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, any response to Elon Musk claims about the Epstein file?
Nice to see you.
Or no? Because that to me just looks like the post made by Brian Allen is intended to stir the pot. Seems fairly obvious that as President Trump politely thanked the media, it insinuated the round of questions and answers was over, and you can hear the reporters and journalists beginning to shout more questions over one another, and they all get ignored. Not just the question about Elon Musk. I think X is a great platform and a useful tool, but much like any other tool, it is most effective when you know how to use it properly. Otherwise, that tool could end up causing you harm if you aren't careful, skilled, and well-trained to be proficient. And speaking of skilled, well-trained, talented, and proficient, the amazing people at Chapter have all those qualities and more. Just like President Trump's big, beautiful bill aims to save money and lower the deficit, Chapter's experts are here to help you maximize your savings with a personalized one-on-one Medicare consultation. By calling 270-467-2426, you can ask, can you show me how I can save money on Medicare? And find the best plan tailored for you. Viewers like you have reported saving $1,100 to $1,400 on average, putting that money back into Social Security. And with the push for tax savings for seniors, why not call Chapter today for free Medicare help and start saving if you can?
Source familiar with the relationship between Musk and President Trump tells NBC News several factors are likely, but I can think of one really big factor behind his venting, including that the spending bill doesn't contain EV tax credits, and it gets rid of a lot of the green subsidies from the Biden administration.
I mean, that's what Speaker Johnson said yesterday. I don't know if that's the case or if this is.
No, it is the case. They're gone.
I don't know if that's why he's mad, though. I think he's probably mad because this is Doge. He spent all this time there.
They're going to do the rescission bill for the $9 billion they got. They're going to try and do it.
I can understand Elon Musk being ticked off that he was in there doing Doge for months of his daily.
This is.
I don't know why you're suddenly turning on Elon Musk.
I'm not turning on him. I'm not turning on him.
Sounds like it.
Did you read his quotes? There is no change to tax incentives for oil and gas, just EV and solar, and people are going to die. Slashing solar energy credits is unjust.
He spent how many months in the White House trying to cut away, and this is like the Hydra.
Every profit almost every dime in profit that Tesla has posted recently has been selling energy tax credits to other companies.
So it's not about the pork. You think he's lying when he says that this is just about his pork?
Okay. If you don't, what's in this bill is at least you avoid $4.5 trillion. It's back to the good versus the perfect.
You're also back to most places scoring this as saying you are going to be spending much more money. You're going to blow up the deficit by trillions of dollars.
If you don't pass it, you don't get $1.5 trillion in cuts, and you don't get a tax increase on everyone in the country.
I would take Elon Musk at his word at this, and probably being frustrated at.
I'm sure
the personal pain that he has taken on by trying to do the Doge cutting.
All right. Now, I'm not so sure I agree with everything he is saying here on CNBC's Squawk Box, and here's why. Elon Musk himself has said clearly, plain as day, that EV subsidies, incentives, and tax credits shouldn't even exist. Just delete it. Delete.
But if you eliminated all EV incentives tomorrow, Tesla's competitive position would improve significantly. I'll say that again. If you eliminated all tax credits, EV tax credits, Tesla's position would improve immediately. But if you eliminated all EV incentives tomorrow, Tesla's competitive position would improve.
We don't need the $7,500 tax credit. I would say, honestly, I would just can this whole bill. Don't pass it. That's my recommendation.
What about the support though for the charging network? I mean, there are parts of this bill and no.
No, I mean, do we need support for gas stations? We don't. So there's no need for this for support for a charging network. I would delete it. Delete.
Okay. All right.
I'm literally saying get rid of all subsidies, but also for oil and gas. We don't need the $7,500 tax credit.
President Trump just helped improve Tesla's competitive position by eliminating EV mandates and subsidies. And now you all know why I said this in my last community post about how I wish I bought more Tesla stock. Buy the dip, baby. But uh-oh, don't let the left and the mainstream media find this clip here of Elon Musk saying the quiet part out loud. Oh, heavens to Betsy. They won't know what to do with themselves then. And let's not forget, Mike Benz says Elon was always the secret weapon behind Trump 2.0. But most importantly, we mustn't forget, and I think I'll let JD Vance explain this one to everybody.
One thing that is shocking about the prior government, about the government we inherited the White House from, is if I, on January the 21st, in fact, I did ask this question, where are the biggest deficiencies in our supply chains? What are the 100 products that we're completely reliant on some other entity to make for us? Where are they made, and how hard would it be to onshore that manufacturing? I asked that explicit question, and the answer was, we don't know. Nobody in the prior government had actually asked these very fundamental questions. And so what is so crazy about the hyper-globalized era is that you had these basic questions about the brittleness of our supply chains that were completely uninvestigated by the very people who supported globalizing those supply chains. We were actually governed by complete morons, and we didn't even realize it until the Trump administration started to get underneath the hood of our government. But
we were governed by complete morons, and Elon Musk and DOGE helped Trump and all of us figure that out with receipts.
People, we're lucky to have. I have to tell you, I want to thank you all, and Elon, I want to thank you. I know you've been through a lot with this horrible situation that happens.
That's right, saving America.
It's very unfair. What he is a patriot. Here's a man that I can tell you, he's a friend of mine. He's become a friend of mine. He supported me in the election. That's when I got to know him, really. I knew him a little bit from the first term, but not much. But he's a patriot more than anything else. He's never, think of it, he has never asked me for a thing. He could have. I always say, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me for something. And that's always subject to change. And if it does change, I'll let you know about it. But Elon has never asked me for a thing. I mean, I got rid of the electric car mandate. I have no idea how that affects him, but possibly not good. I don't know. But he's never asked me for a thing. And I think that's an amazing tribute. I did get activated last week when I saw what they were doing. I said, he makes an incredible product, and we're going to go out and tell people you can't do that stuff, and support him. They got to support him, because if he wasn't doing this, he wouldn't have any of these difficulties. And I think it's getting less and less. Pam has done a great job with regard to all of the, I mean, I know the kind of investigations that are going on. If she finds them, which she will, she already found 4 of them. But I think they're going to suffer very grave consequences, because they're really terrorists when you think about it. They're terrorists at a high level. And I think the people that are financing them, they could very well be people I know, people that you write about. But those people are in big trouble, so they better cut it out. But Elon's a patriot. We want to thank you very much for the job you're doing. Thank you very much.
Did you hear that? President Trump tells Elon Musk, thank you for the job you've done. And it is at this point where I'm beginning to really feel the energy of what's going on. And I think what we see happening is just an alternate version of the same games that have been played all along. Is anyone else with me on that one? President Trump here in the war room. Comments on this one. First one from Medusa. Hey, at Grok. Objectively, who's going to lose in this Musk versus Trump fight? Grok begins to share its answer, but for a quick rundown, Pro-America Politics shares Elon's day so far. Number 1, Tesla stock down 16%. 2, walked into a $100 billion defamation suit. 3, losing government subsidies. 4, losing EV mandates. 5, both political parties now hate him. Move over, Keith Oberman. This is the worst case of TDS we've ever seen. Then we have more comments here about fighting the wrong way, calling Trump. Doge from Wall Street says never bet against Elon. He's the only who's not compromised. The Elon Musk versus Donald Trump conflict has become a full-on war. Trump's going to lose this one, and it won't be particularly close. That's their opinion. They're entitled to it, right? Well, perhaps the libs in this comment thread are just doing all they know how to do, and with all the practice that they have, still aren't very good at it. But maybe they did manage to get under Steve Bannon's skin just a little. What do you guys think?
This is the pressure on the guy, and to have the audacity to send these tweets out and to say I want him impeached. No, he's only here for 3.5 years. I think Elon Musk said I'm there for 40. Well, bro, I hope you know how to work in a prison cell for 40. Okay? Because don't think you're just going to come after Trump and people around Trump and people understand what Trump's been through and understand what he's going through today. Think about your own life. Think about what this is the pressure on the guy, and to have.
Stacy celebrates under Steve Bannon's video here, says JD Vance didn't stand up for Trump. Weak fence rider. What do you guys think about that one? Meanwhile, others are in disbelief. Wow, they're really threatening Elon Musk. Don't think for a moment that Bannon isn't connected and not saying what's being discussed. Elon should get in his jet and find a quiet island and take his Starlink. I still want the tweets. Oh, man. Steve went to prison for the Constitution and President Trump's executive privilege. I think he can speak better than anyone on this subject, and so can at Real P. Navarro. What a day. Good night. Bannon is trying to be relevant. My money's on Elon. And Bannon and Mark Dice have always been true and always called Elon a globalist and not to be completely trusted. Those two guys are the ones to follow, and Mark Dice doesn't even post on X anymore. But he's fucking awesome on YouTube. But let's not lose sight or our focus of what matters most here, right? The primary objective is to make America great again, bring home jobs, increase take-home pay, restore wealth and prosperity to the American people. The United States of America is the dominant force globally. We are the dominant force globally. There is no denying that. But let's be honest. If a new country wanted to form, let's just say tomorrow, and model after what President Trump, J.D. Vance, and the rest of the administration was handed, what they inherited, which closely resembles, the best way I could describe it would be a shit sandwich with slightly burnt and toasted edges charred over the open flame of a frickin' dumpster fire. They would be diagnosed clinically insane and need to have their head examined if they wanted to build a country based on what we are trying to get away from. With that being said, the most important mission, should you choose to accept it, is to do what it takes to turn this country around. And, well, let's be honest, make the left look like the fools that they are in the process. We can have our cake and eat it too, right?
My issue is that the media said that Musk was the co-president. He doesn't look like the co-president anymore. The media said Trump was doing favors for Elon Musk. Well, if you look at this big, beautiful bill, there's no favors for Elon Musk in it at all. Now, the big, beautiful bill, now he's got a beef with it. These are the things that Trump ran on and won on. Wall, ice skies so you could do mass deportations, military, F-35 ships, pay raises for the troops, and tax relief for everybody, no tax on tips. These are the things that won him the election. He didn't run on balancing the budget. So this is the priority right now. You have 4 years to balance the budget. Yeah, there's a lot of pork in this thing. There's always a little pork, all right? But this is not a spending bill. This is the signature piece of Donald Trump's second term. This may be the last major piece of legislation Trump ever passes. Well, he might have 3 terms, but for now, we're saying this is it.
I just love how Jesse Waters calls out the media, as he too is technically the media. Based savage. He calls it like it is, and I'm all for it. Thank you, Jesse. Now, watch the left lose their mind over this quib about Trump's third term. And I have another Jesse Waters clip that I want to show you, and it's this one here with him and former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich.
Well, I'm beginning to think that they are mad at each other. I mean, I don't want to go. I don't want to go much. Look, this is the soap opera phase of American politics. Everybody can understand it. Everybody can pay attention to it. But in the long run, what's happening with China, what's happening with Russia, what's happening with the big, beautiful bill, those are vastly more important than whether or not Elon Musk is having a temper tantrum. And remember, Musk is the wealthiest guy in the world, but Donald Trump is the most powerful person in the world, and I think probably that Musk kind of forgot that. Musk money comes from having met consumers, having been brilliant. Trump has the vote of 77 million Americans to say he ought to be the commander-in-chief. And in that kind of a contest, there's no question in my mind that 2, 3, 4, 5 months from now, Donald Trump will still be president, and Musk may or may not be relevant. And that partly depends on whether Musk decides to grow up and find a better way of doing this.
Does this kerfuffle affect the China situation? Does it affect the big, beautiful bill? Does it affect Ukraine and space? So what kind of impact will it have?
I think it depends on whether this is a temporary, very intense exchange or becomes kind of a long, permanent struggle. For example, the United States needs SpaceX. SpaceX this year will launch 97% of the satellites worldwide. It's an extraordinary asset for us. To have the President of the United States end up in a power struggle, which is not really much. It's a public relations struggle. There's no power struggle here. One of them is president. The other one isn't president. And I think that's part of what the media doesn't quite get. And I think it's part of what frustrates Elon Musk is that, he has a fairly high sense of himself, and should. I mean, I think he's a brilliant guy. I think the things he's done are remarkable, but they're remarkable as an entrepreneur. Henry Ford didn't end up running the country. Thomas Edison didn't end up running the country. And in fact, in the end, Elon Musk is not going to end up running the country. So I think probably things will calm down over the next 2 or 3 days. Trump has a lot of really serious things to do, and placating Musk is probably down around number 27 on the list.
So Musk says it's all about debt, and this big, beautiful bill doesn't cut it. Does he have any point there?
That's just, no, it's baloney. This bill does more to turn the curve on spending. Look, as you know, I am the only speaker to have helped balance the budget for 4 years in the last century. So I have some notion of how you do this. This is the first step. It's not the last step. It's an important first step. It creates economic growth, which if the Congressional Budget Office wasn't a bastion of idiotic left-wing thinking, by itself, the economic growth would virtually pay for the bill. It has a substantial cut in domestic spending in a very large way. It reforms Medicaid in a very positive way. And I think, Musk probably ought to get a briefing on the real bill rather than his personality feelings.
All right. The only speaker to balance the budget 4 years straight.
The only speaker to balance the budget 4 years straight. Whose word do you take? Whose side are you on in all of this? Elon Musk claims the Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year, which technically we're currently in. And as you all know, there's no real way to prove this to be true until after it actually happened, if it ever will. Which leads to posts like these where people say things like they're starting to think that maybe he didn't get punched by his son. Although President Trump, being the true and real friend that he is, even offered Elon some powder and concealer to cover it up.
He wanted that person, a certain person, and we said no. And, I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval Desk. And even with the black eye, I said, "Do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." But he said, "No, I don't think so," which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon.
But was Elon wearing this black eye as a cry for help or a badge of honor? He isn't one to hold back or mince words as far as I can tell. I mean, he told Bob Iger to go fuck himself on live TV. So for him to make up some story that his son punched him seems almost as outlandish as trying to convince people that he isn't one of the world's highest ranked players on Diablo 4. I mean, at this point, who really knows? Maybe Mr. Dogecoin himself was butthurt by his best bud's words, losing his Tesla subsidies, SpaceX cuts, and his hard work at Doge potentially being unappreciated. If the money in the savings isn't codified by Congress as the big, beautiful bill heads to the president's desk by Independence Day, July 4th. Hopefully. But I digress, because we have to move on. And I have another important clip to share with you from President Trump from the White House that I don't think has gotten enough airtime so far.
What we've seen is we keep hearing from the CBO that there's going to be a large deficit from the bill, which we disagree with, but using the CBO scoring, they came out and scored the tariff revenue. We think it'll be the minimum of $2.8 trillion over the 10-year window, which actually puts the bill in surplus if you include the tariff revenue, which they won't do.
It gives you a tremendous surplus, but we're not allowed to use that. For some reason, they say scoring. Nobody knows what scoring means. Maybe a couple of people, but nobody. Somebody sits in the background, they say, well, we're not going to allow that. They're not allowing other things that we have that are tremendously profitable for our country. But
Scott Bessent easily explains the surplus, further supported by President Trump as he shares the tremendous profits in the works for our country. But why isn't this information being shared? And better yet, why isn't the Trump administration allowed to include the tariff profits in the CBO score? Despite the games played by the Democrats and the weak attempts by the media, I am appreciative of President Trump and all the hard work he's putting in for us. The man is relentless, and JD Vance is right. President Trump has done more than any person in my lifetime to earn the trust of the movement he leads. I'm proud to stand behind him. And if I could be so fortunate as to stand behind the lovely Caroline Levitt.
Tonight, the president's focus and the focus of the entire White House remains on passing the one big beautiful bill. And as your audience just saw on Friday, just days ago, the president graciously hosted Elon Musk in the Oval Office, and Elon thanked the president for his incredible leadership to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in our government, which this one big beautiful bill does. So the only difference between Friday and today is Elon went back to his companies, and as a businessman, he has a right to speak for his companies. But as president, President Trump has a responsibility to fight for this country. And the one big beautiful bill is the most historic piece of legislation that has moved through Capitol Hill in modern day history. Not only does this bill provide the largest tax cut for middle class and working class families, it extends the Trump tax cuts in 2017. It also delivers on President Trump's key campaign promises that he went around the country and spoke to voters across the country about, to huge applause. No tax on tips for our service workers, no tax on overtime for our law enforcement officers who are putting in extra work, having details to put food on the table. The Fraternal Order of the Police was at the White House today endorsing this piece of legislation specifically because of the no tax on overtime provision. This bill also effectively eliminates tax on Social Security for our hardworking seniors. And not only that, it provides huge savings for the American taxpayers. $1.6 trillion in savings. We can't solve our nation's decades-old debt crisis overnight. President Trump is practical and realistic about that. But this bill is a huge, monumental step in the right direction, and it also provides critical funding for border security. It will hire more ICE and Border Patrol agents across the country, which we desperately need to carry out the mass deportation effort that is underway. And this bill also provides critical infrastructure for our national security and funding for the Golden Dome, which is another signature campaign promise of President Trump's. Look, President Trump is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party, and this bill is going to pass.
But I'm sure you're all wondering, what the fuck happened? How did DJT and Elon Musk's relationship fall apart? Or did it really?
And as for the president, he should simply disengage. Musk is his own person. The government contracts that he has stand on their own merit. They shouldn't be called into question. Threatening to pull them, that's not wise. When 5 minutes ago you were, of course, hailing Musk's work and helping rescue the stranded Americans in space. Elon Musk is like the Thomas Edison of our time. He sacrificed for America personally and professionally. And he wanted to make the Trump presidency happen, and it did. And
thank you for that. Lord only knows where we'd be if Trump hadn't won in November, and Elon Musk was definitely integral in making sure that happened. But Elon's got this post here that says, whatever. Keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair. But ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. In the entire history of civilization, there has never been legislation that both big and beautiful. Everyone knows this. Either you get a big and ugly bill or a slim and beautiful bill. Slim and beautiful is the way. And perhaps maybe the most shocking response here is this one here from Ed Krasenstein, that the disagreement with Trump always equals Trump arrangement syndrome. That's the game that they play. The comments that follow that are probably equally just as good. And we see this one here says, the difference is that the right dares to disagree with each other and don't behave like agreeable females just to save their status. It means there's a difference between having an opinion and being obsessed. Adam Gross says, Ed wants Elon back on his side so bad, LOL. We've got our retro Batman here, GIF. And it says, I'm suspicious you intentionally put the wrong word in there just to troll people. Or did he? Some other guy just said, shut up. Teddy Jamgo Chayan. I don't know. That's a tough one to say. No, it doesn't. It may be some, but they will be dealt with. Disagreements are allowed. This isn't TDS. His arguments are reasoned and he's addressing the issue, not the person. Trump arrangement syndrome? LOL. That's a new one. He didn't say Elon had it. He said Elon missed the office. Dude couldn't even type right. His TDS hits so hard. No, not really. No, Ed, that's not the game anyone plays unless, of course, you actually suffer from TDS. Many of us criticize Trump when it's appropriate and give him credit when it's appropriate. You know, like adults. And Squid Willis says, I think you and your brother are the most hated people on the internet. LOL. Your side literally did this for 4 years. I don't think I heard you complain, and you get to sit this one out. We at least want to hold our folks accountable. Let's not do this. Let's focus on good messages. Let's unite. AI can free us. We need unity to make this all work. Sam White says, Ed, he's not on your side. Fuck off. Ashton Fox, not at all, retard. We disagree with Trump on a great many things, but can see the forest through the trees. You guys can't. You disagree with everything, and that's why you have Trump arrangement syndrome. Imagine not realizing that what you wrote makes our case for us. Quiet, woman. And then the last one says, sit this one out, little guy. And we've got a couple more good ones. I want you guys to make sure you don't miss these. You have to see the genius at play here. Elon Musk and President Trump stage a quote unquote massive public feud, slinging insults and grabbing every headline. The media eats it up, focusing on their clash. Then boom, Elon drops the Epstein bombshell, claiming Trump's in the files. Suddenly, all eyes shift to Epstein, and the media is buzzing about those sealed documents. Perfect timing for Kash Patel to disclose Epstein files. This is Sun Tzu or Zoo level training or strategy. I don't know where I came with training from. Misdirection, then striking at the heart of the narrative. Trump and Musk are playing 4D chess, orchestrating the greatest reverse psyop ever. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing. That was quite the response. A reply to Elon Musk's just raised eyebrow emoji. This one here says, Trump is not wrong. Elon Musk is not wrong. Elon's working under the assumption that Congress actually wants to do the job and wants to save our country. Trump is working under the reality that these people are absolute scum and you cannot get anything perfect passed through the current legislators. We'd all love a bill that eliminates the IRS, gets rid of all the pork in government, and completely guts to the administrative state. It wouldn't get 20 votes in the House. The bill on the floor is about as good as it's going to get with the current crap of Congress. I'd rather have that than nothing. Elon's not wrong, and he is not our enemy. Who knows? Have you seen this one from Squirrel Tribe? She says exactly what I said in today's live stream in response to Chad Prather, who said it could be the biggest troll in history to make Democrats demand both the Epstein files and spending cuts. We may be watching pure genius unfold in front of our eyes. And don't think I forgot. I think I saved maybe the best clip for last. And as I told you all at the beginning of this video, House Speaker Mike Johnson dropped a cryptic bombshell saying he's going to call Elon Musk. And listen closely to this.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to get into details for personal conversations, but
You've already
so I'm going.
You spoken this morning?
No, I'm going to call Elon right now.
Could I ask you, so I mean, based on this White House meeting, and they have problems with some of the tax and tips, the overtime, SALT, IRA, who's the Senate. I mean, it does seem like, you guys are farther apart than you would like to be, certainly than you would like.
Things are not always what they seem, okay? There's very fruitful conversations going on between the senators in the White House and between all of us. So I'm just as optimistic as I've been from the beginning. I'm convinced we're going to meet this deadline that we've stated to get at the President's desk by Independence Day. And there's a lot of work going on around the clock for that.
Things are not always as they seem. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.